Hi there, happy Tuesday. Today we are going to talk about a particular emotion that can be particularly painful. So today we are talking about resentment. The reason we're talking about resentment is, first of all, I deal with it all the time, right? Like it's a very common emotion that finds its way into my coaching sessions with people. And the other thing with resentment, what makes it so big feeling, is that it's kind of like a weed. Like as soon as we just start to feel just a little bit of resentment towards a particular person or situation, it doesn't take long for it to spread out and grow and become stronger, and we find more and more evidence for it and all of that kind of stuff. And so as it begins to, spread and grow, the bigger it gets, the less control we feel. It can feel like an emotion where we have no control because it seems to be based solely on the actions or inactions of someone else. And so it feels like because it's about the actions or inactions of someone else, it can feel like we have zero control over it. And so all we could do is just feel it and deal with it, right? So I'm here to talk about what to do when you do start to feel resentment towards someone, especially if it's someone that you love and care about, or, there is an expectation for a long-term relationship with them, if it's a spouse or a partner or something like that, or even, like a boss at work or, someone on your team at work where, the anticipation is that you're going to be dealing with them for a long time. So then we have to look at, how to reduce the feeling of resentment and the resentment itself within yourself. The reality is you are the only person that has control over your resentment. Their actions or inactions are entirely theirs, and it is what it is. Let's note that resentment is based off of an opinion that forms expectations. Resentment comes when there is an expectation of someone else that is not being met. So what that means is, if we look at the evidence, it's not the action or inaction itself that is hurtful. And the resentment itself, I mean, of course we feel it and it hurts, but it can feel like it's a fact. It can feel like resentment is a fact. Well, of course I'm upset with this person. Of course I am. They keep putting their darn dishes in the sink instead of the dishwasher, right? Like, of course, it's a fact that I'm resentful towards them. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? Except noticing that it's the opinion that this expectation should be followed that is causing the resentment. So there are, in fact, things that we can do about it, right? Okay, I wasn't expecting to go down that road, so let's start with actual actions, things that you can do once you are starting to feel resentment towards someone. The first thing to look at, the first thing to see is, have you actually made a clear request? Have you had the conversation that says, it is incredibly important to me that the dishes are now, from this moment forward, put directly into the dishwasher, skipping the whole put it in the sink thing, right? Did you have that conversation with the very clear request that includes the why it's important to you, why it's important to them? What is it with this thing that's so important that if it doesn't happen, it's going to cause resentment? Let's really, really look at, did you in fact have the conversation stating your expectations in a very clear and specific and granular way? That there are times associated with it, that it's not just, hey, we should maybe think about maybe possibly putting the dishes into the dishwasher instead of the sink, right? Like, what are the time parameters? Like, look, by the time I get home from work, I want the sink empty, right? Or, make sure you put in, because then they can always say, oh, I was going to do it later, whatever, right? Did you have the conversation? And was it incredibly clear? Was it clear what your expectations are? Did you, in fact, have the conversation? And if so, was it clear? The other thing to keep in mind is, when was that conversation? Was that conversation when, you were in a great mood, everything was neutral, and it was just this lovely curiosity, connection building conversation of, hey, just letting you know, I'd like to try this new thing and I would like you to join me with it? Or does it only come up when you're already in an argument, you're already aggravated, you're already talking about something else that you're resentful for, and another thing, right? Like, so making sure that it's at a time that it can be absorbed. Once we're already in a fight and you're feeling attacked, think about it for yourself. Once you're already feeling attacked, are you able to have like a healthy turnaround and a healthy aha moment of, oh, you're absolutely correct. You've just been name calling and yelling at me and everything. But yeah, you're correct. I want to do this thing for you. Like, no, right? So have you had the conversation? If you had the conversation, was it incredibly clear? No questions, no we should think about, maybe possibly considering. No. Has it been clear? Has the expectations been set? There's time frames set, all of those sorts of things. And was it done in the correct mood, right? The right conversation in the wrong mood is the wrong conversation. So, yeah, Nance, did all the things. I've had the conversation. I've had it in a productive way. I was super specific with it. And either they agreed to it, but are still not following through, or they flat out said, no, I'm not going to do that. I just don't want to do that. That's not a thing that's important to me. And so therefore I'm not going to do it. Right? So if you have hit this wall of total knowledge that you've done everything within your control, and there is still I don't believe in that. Like, I'm not going to do that with my body. If you want to do that with your body and you want to put it directly in the dishwasher, that's completely up to you. But I am choosing not to do that with my own body. I'm just not going to do it. So if you come to the place where it is a no, then there's still a few things that you can do, right? One of them is taking a look at the full picture. The full picture. This is not about fairness in any way. We are looking at the entire picture of the relationship. If we are talking about a spouse, if we are talking about a long-term partner, if we're talking about someone we're going to have to work with for years, like, we really do have to look at the entire picture. Is the quality of the relationships in other areas so rich and yummy that, okay, Nance, just let this one go, right? They're already doing all of these other things for the family and the relationship and everything else. When I take the step back and I look at the whole of our lives, and I have to say to myself, am I willing to walk away from this entire relationship, given everything that it is exactly the way it is right now? Am I willing to walk away because they're putting dishes in the sink? Or is there an equality or a fairness or whatever that is in other areas? Do they take care of some things that are annoyances to you, right? Are they taking on some of the chores that you don't want to do, quite frankly? And so we negotiated them, or somehow ended up with them taking care of some things that you don't like, or things like that, right? Like, making sure that you're looking at the entire picture. Are you really, 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 really willing to turn away the entire relationship because of this one thing, right? So making sure that we're looking at the entire picture. If that's still not working for you, if you can cognitively say, no, I'm obviously not going to get a divorce because there's dishes in the sink, but it still sucks, Nance. It still sucks. It still bothers me. It still hurts, right? Then we look at some things there. How can we turn around the feeling of resentment knowing that we still want to honor the entire relationship. It's not the hill to die on. There are going to be more important things that I'm going to have to demand, and this just isn't one of them. Then how do we change the feelings of resentment? One is with gratitude, right? We look at what is the opposite of resentment, and that is notice it. Like instead of noticing the missing pieces, noticing what's going wrong, we look at what is going right. What are those things in your relationship that you have decided are positive enough that kicking them out of the house because of putting dishes in the sink isn't that big of a deal? Let's keep on a regular basis, as often as you remember the resentment, you also purposefully remember and highlight and put attention on the things that you're grateful for in this relationship, including having the relationship itself, right? Like if you are the type of person that doesn't do well when you're alone, or, like making sure that you're really, really looking everywhere to balance the emotion of the resentment with gratitude. And again, just with facts, right? Just with facts. And so that's what we want to look at when we're talking about resentment is and catching it as soon as you can. It really is a weed. It grows so fast and it can spread out so far that, something like this then turns into, well, they just don't care about my needs at all. And so then it turns into this thing that they do and that thing that they do. And it really, really grows. So it's also about catching it soon, catching it early, so that it doesn't grow so much that it's harder to get over. So again, in resentment, first look at what role have you played in trying to make a change? Have you communicated your needs? Have you done so very, very clearly, not passive aggressively, not only during fights, not whatever, but like in a very calm, methodical, explaining your why type of way? Doing so in the right mood, right? Doing so in a mood that is not fighting and they're more able to hear you and want to take it on. And then if you do still get the no, first of all, just getting to the acceptance of, you can't force anyone else to do anything with their body that they don't want to do. So acceptance of, okay, if I choose to continue living with this person, I am also choosing to have dishes in the sink. And so now how do I get over that? I look at the entire picture of the relationship. Where does this lie in importance for me when I look at the whole? And if it's still bothering you, go ahead in and start a gratitude practice to counter the feelings of the resentment. I'm looking at the time and acknowledging this may have been a longer video than normal, but I just want to call it, I think this is a biggie. So let me know what you think. As always, let me know what you think. If you feel like someone would benefit from this, please, please, please share this. If you feel like you're benefiting from it and you haven't done so yet, please, please, please subscribe and all of those things. I feel we're doing those things, but the reality is if we want more people to learn from these videos, it's the only way to make it happen. It's the only way to get it in front of other people is by playing with the technical end of the algorithms. So that means please subscribe, please share with others, please comment and like and do all of those things so that more people can benefit from these videos the way that you have been. So that's my request for you this week. If you're finding value in these, please take just one action that helps others find the values in these as well. And have a wonderful week. I'll be checking back in next Tuesday. See you then. Bye.